Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Picnic Table Chat Show. This is season 4, episode, I've lost count, completely lost count, 9, 10, 11, something like that. We'll work it out eventually. But welcome back to another episode. Thanks for signing in, everyone on Facebook, YouTube, and we are back on Twitch now, which is really awesome. We've actually hit 51 subscribers on Twitch now, so we're heading towards applying for affiliate, which is pretty cool. Or we could, if we want to, you know what I mean, that kind of benchmark. That's pretty cool. But welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining, and welcome to everyone in the future listening to Anchor, Spotify, and Apple via the podcasts. So I wanted to have a little discussion with you all at episode 10. Thank you, Happy Ant UK, and welcome. It's nice to see you back again. Believe it or not, it says it in front of me, but it cuts it off on episode 4 E ... is what it says. So that's really annoying, isn't it? So I wanted to have a little chat to you. I had a discussion recently, and it really intrigued me and perplexed me at the same time. Now, in this discussion, we were talking about the problem of mites. Mites killing off a colony and how to avoid getting mites in the future. And I obviously mentioned dipping your pre-killed insects into hot water, or your insects into hot water to pre-kill it and clean any mites off. Now, this subject was raised that some ants don't take the protein after it's been cooked. I obviously said, you're not cooking it, just dip it. But I wanted to see sort of where everyone's experience lies on this, because my personal colonies, I've never had an issue. But obviously I don't keep every species of ant. I don't have all the experience in the world. So I'd like to see if anyone else has had any negative experiences feeding cooked proteins or even dipped proteins in comparison to non-dipped. Does that make sense? That was like the hardest thing for me to word. I'm going to warn you now, I am so tired. My brain switched off like 2 or 3 hours ago. So we'll just run on whatever's going on at the time, you know. I've got a few cogs left, but everything else is shut down and seized up. So yeah, so leave me a comment. Let me know what you kind of know about it, what experience you've had. Have you fed your colonies cooked meats rather than just dipped? Have you actually cooked anything for them? Or the discussion sort of led into how protein changes its structure and becomes less nutritious after it's cooked. I can take that in and I can agree with that. But in my personal experience, ants will take most things. Katrina, thank you. Most of mine have eaten cooked chicken and tinned tuna, including Dies, Messers, Nikos, Scabinodis, and Diacama. So yeah, that was pretty much my experience as well. Obviously, I'm not disagreeing with the guy. If he's got that in his experience, then, like, you know, I'm not going to disagree with him. But I wanted to investigate further. Definitely. And I will be releasing a video as well on what I find, because I think obviously some ants can be picky with meals that they take. They can avoid certain proteins and so on and so forth. So it might, it might happen with some species. I know I've fed mine cooked prawns and things like that in the past. The dives will pretty much eat anything, cooked or raw. So I don't know. I thought it would be interesting to go into that a little bit further. Astra were always particular, my absolute favourite, and Gatlud. Yeah, that it was a shame, but it's one of those things. And you're sticking to natives for now. That's fair. Much easier, much easier. The only thing you will find is that you get bored during the winter period because you've got everyone in hibernation. That's that's the shame. Yeah, dives will eat anything especially when they get to like 1,000 or more ants. They will literally eat anything. They're very not just aggressive, but voracious, I think is the word. They just eat everything, which isn't a bad thing, really. And it leads me on to another subject that I can have a quick talk to you about whilst we're waiting for more comments to come in. We'll go back to the subject of the protein a little bit later on. So I finally, as you all know, I got a tarantula the other day. If you don't know, then you're fairly new to the channel. And I got a tarantula the other day, basically. Cannabina visicolor. Now, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I always do, but I put extra effort into learning that one because it's my only tarantula and I want to get it right. So may as well give it a go. And basically, I set it up in a. I'll read that comment in a second. I set it up in a outworld that I had spare, basically, and it was an arboreal spider. Now, I set this outworld up in sort of a terrestrial setup, and I was aiming to change the setup at the Great Ant exhibition. I was going to buy a new one, but it hasn't been feeding properly, and like I wasn't sure it was very happy. So I've changed the enclosure to a much smaller but more vertical setup with twigs and a big piece of branch and whatnot. I got help from Crawl Space. You remember I did an interview not long ago with Crawl Space. Now, the amazing woman from Crawl Space helped me come up with this setup. I might show it here. If not, I'll show it very soon on a video. Just because I'm actually sat here topless at the minute because it's so hot. But I am sat with my tarantula in its enclosure, but in my hand. And it's so cool to watch. It's actually started webbing up already between a couple of the sticks. So that's very cool. And it had its first proper meal. I put in a waxworm. Now, I did skewer it on a cocktail stick, which I then pushed into the substrate. So that the waxworm was sort of like same height as the branches and arboreal, you know what I mean? And it climbed straight round there and jumped on this waxworm, sat there for, well, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 hours, and yeah, had a good meal. So I'm really happy. I know that the spider's happy and it's feeding and getting everything that it needs. You know what I mean? That's the main thing. What did you say it was? I said it was Cannabina visicolor. I can actually spell it as well. I can spell it better than I can pronounce it. So if you need to be, I can put it up in writing. But they are absolutely beautiful tarantulas. Obviously, I don't have other tarantulas. I never have. But at the moment, it's turquoise. As it grows, it will gain more colours. And they're one of the most colourful tarantulas in the world. They come from a little island in the Mediterranean, I think it was. It was either the Mediterranean or Caribbean. I can't remember now. But yeah, they're absolutely stunning little spiders, tarantulas. I am gonna spell it and post it on the chat. Hang on. Caribina versicolor. Caribina versicolor. Yeah, something like that. Hang on. Yeah, I can't spell it now either. Caribbean versicolor. Yeah, all right. See, I can't even pronounce it when it's put out in front of me like that. I'm blaming that on me just being me. I haven't got a very good excuse for that one. I don't need an excuse for everything I fail at. I'm allowed to fail. Yeah, I know. See, you can teach me phonics. We'll have to like set aside some time for a lesson or something. Teach me some Latin words. I don't know that. It just brings back memories of being in primary school and there was all these old nuns that were trying to teach us Latin. I went to a Roman Catholic primary school, believe it or not. That's pretty insane. I'm not very religious now, if I'm completely honest. Nothing wrong with religion. I've just decided to go another direction. Yeah, there you go, Katrina. But I bet you're Googling it, aren't you, Katrina? I don't know. I won't. I won't accuse you of Googling it. But you probably are. Oh dear, oh dear. So, on with something that's always, I'm always going to bring it up over these summer months. Water your colonies. Make sure that all of your colonies are getting loads and loads of water at the moment, especially over this coming weekend where it could reach a record high in the UK. If you're in another country, you don't necessarily need to worry so much. And if you're listening from in the future, you don't necessarily need to worry so much. But in these extreme temperatures, make sure there's loads of water sources. If they've only got one, maybe give them a second one. If they've got a test tube, make sure it's pretty full. Let's just make sure there's always lots of water for our ants at this hot time of year. And obviously turn your heating elements off if you haven't already, or if you don't have a thermostat ready to do it. But I don't need to say that really. But I just like to say sort of like a health warning, public health warning, and public health. I don't know. But yeah, it gives me peace of mind knowing that I've at least said, let's give them all water, because from very recent, yeah, there you go. I've actually heard it from quite a lot of people, Katrina. It's a common thing every year that I get asked, how do I cool down my colonies if they get too hot? What do I do? So on and so forth. I always say, obviously, put a fan near them, anything. You don't want air flowing into the nesting area. If you put airflow into the nest area, they will start to move out. They don't like nesting in moving air currents, I will warn you. And if you do that in the outworld, you might find that there's less of them foraging. The airflow will affect behavior. But cool down your colonies. I know someone who has a next to their heat cable, actually, they can turn off their heat cable, obviously, and then put on a cold water sort of tube system. And the water cools in this little box, and then it gets pumped around all these tubes around every single colony, and it keeps it nice and cool. It's actually a really ingenious idea. I've not seen many things like that. I normally just see fan setups and stuff, but that was quite high-tech setup that he was showing me. Very cool, very cool. Very experienced ant keeper as well. But yeah, so I always say just make sure there's plenty of water, because even if they're overheating, like there is things they can do for themselves to avoid it. But out there in the wild, they would obviously dig further away or whatever to expel the heat, and they can't necessarily do that. You could do it with a PC water cooler. That's hello, answered. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah, it's that same sort of piping around all the like nests and everything. It's like I say, really cool, really high tech. I've not seen many setups with that sort of system like built around them, but he's like had I don't know how many years of experience. So I expect he's had it set up for like long term. You know what I mean? He's had the years to have it built in, and I don't know. I'll get there one day when I'm like when I've got a house that I know I'm probably never going to move from, then I'll be like, right, let's inbuild these tanks into the walls. Let's tear down that wall and put a big tank in place of it, and get rid of the stairs and change that into a tank. Everything will become ant shell. In fact, we had a conversation the other day. Really cool way of making beds is like to use storage units. You've probably all seen it, like a shelving unit on its side or whatever. The wife was talking about that because so much extra storage. And I just said, if you do that, I'm going to fill every single one of those shelves with a tank. It would be amazing. I'd literally just have a bed surrounded by ants. Oh, that would be so cool. I could deal with that. So actually, Ants Hood, you've got some really good experience. Let's see if you've excuse my bad cough. If you've got an opinion on this subject, I was talking earlier, and this is the main subject of tonight, is have you had any negative experiences trying to feed cooked or just dipped protein meals to your ants in comparison to non-cooked or dipped? So like, because someone I was talking to has basically brought it up that after they dip or potentially leave it in for slightly too long and it cooks the protein a little bit, that their ants are less likely to take some of the meals. So I just, like you say, I'm leaving it up to open discussion. You know me, I don't say yes or no to many things. I always like to sit on the fence and see what everyone else is saying. In my personal experience, I've been able to feed, never use cooked meat. Now, why do you say that, Hood? Go? Can we go into that a little bit further? Or you've never used cooked? Okay, no, you always use fresh insect. Now, you do dip them though, don't you? In like some boiling water just for a second, or don't you? Right, I always try to. No, you don't. Okay, have you never had any issues with mites? I mean, some things are worse than others. Mealworms tend to get mites, but only if you keep them for a very long time. No, that's normally down to good husbandry. You know what I mean? What else? Fruit flies are quite notorious for getting mite issues. Now, I've never actually had mite issues breaking out in any of my cultures, but I know it is something that people experience. You know what I mean? Never had a mite problem other than the ones that arrived with them. Yeah, I remember that actually. Oh, hey, Aunt Ramblins, thank you for commenting in. Hi, all cooked meat is fine. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. I always go by if you're giving them cooked meat, you don't want it like cooked with anything. You want it just like a straight chicken breast, not chicken breast with sauce and a bit of like your leftover dinner or something. But again, let's think about ants in the wild. How many times have you had a picnic and they just on your ham or stealing bits of your sausage roll? Ants will eat pretty much anything, in my experience. They'll give it a go. Yeah, if you don't have any insects, you give them cooked chicken. Yeah, that's it. Like I said, I've done prawns before, and my ants have eaten prawns. So it's not something that I've ever had issues with myself. But I didn't want to obviously um, full on dismiss what this guy was saying because if he's got experiences in that way, then that's the way it's gone. I'm not going to call him a liar or something, but I did want to investigate it further. But how is everyone? Has anyone got anything they want to talk about tonight? Anyone got any big news they want to share or videos coming out that they want to announce about? You're more than welcome to put it in the chat. You know me, I don't mind at all. I'm just watching my tarantula on his web, which is so cool. So cool. So I might get him on camera in a bit for you, but actually he's so small at the minute. Like it would be hard to get a good angle to show you. Ha! Okay, Auntie Matta loves to give his ants chicken from the Chinese chicken balls. That's interesting because obviously some people would say that's like a bad idea, but let's say ants will, in my experience in the wild, they'll eat most things. But I think as ant keepers, we do over sterilize sometimes, you know what I mean? But that's because we're trying to keep the environment. Well, we're trying not to kill off our ants, aren't we? But I don't know, maybe it is worth being a little bit more have this and give this a go sort of thing. Because I mean, ants they forage in bins. Right? If there's a bin outside, you can almost guarantee you'll find some ants near it. You know what I mean? I know my bins get ants. My inside bins get ants occasionally. The ants will come in from outside and forage around in my kitchen. You know, they'll take coffee. They'll pretty much take most things. I'm lit right. So I've got a seagull staring me in the face right now, um, and it's making me think back to earlier in the week with the nuptial flights. But we'll go back into that in a minute. Let's have a little look at these comments. Got a crazy Nico colony on Monday. They are ready for an upgrade straight away. What are they? They just explode. How many queens have you got? And so on and so forth. Because Nikos are they're crazy. You know, they're one queen will make quite a decent colony. Two queens, and you've got a really good colony, and then three, four, five queens, and you're getting into insane numbers, insanely fast. But yes, such a great ant, really beautiful as well. I had never kept them until recently, and now since keeping them, like really appreciate the beauty of them a bit more. You know what I mean? Like, I've always thought they were beautiful, but you know, actually seeing them up close is really nice. I love Nico's. I've always followed Ants Hood's Nico colony, um, which is actually really a very good, strong colony. They did have a big die off at one point, didn't they? But they've come back. I believe they came back. I'll be completely honest. I've watched a couple of videos lately, but I have fallen behind with a lot of things. As I keep saying, I'm just so busy, and between work, and other work, you know what I mean? It's a bit crazy. And in this heat at the minute, my goodness, I get home after like 5, 6 hours in the sun, and all I want to do is put my eyes to sleep. All I want to do is go to sleep. Um, it's a real challenge to then go and do some other work. 1-year-old single queen, but looks like over 1,000 workers easy. No real idea how many, but they're generation 3 extra large. Nice. Hopefully you'll have majors in there and everything going nicely, you know. Well, obviously you'll have majors in there if you've got over 1,000. Yeah, that's awesome. And at that point, they're pretty much, unless you have a massive die-off, they're pretty much unstoppable as long as your queens don't die. Or queen doesn't die. But single queen with 1,000 workers, that's really good, especially for the first year. It's normally that like first founding stage with the Nikos, isn't it? That's what I've found in my experience over the last few months of keeping them. Because obviously I'm selling them now, so I've got quite a few colonies of Nikos that I'm caring for. And what I've found is when they're in that smaller stage, they are still like the other Campanotis. But as they get to like 15, 20 workers, which they do a lot faster than the other Campanotis as well, then it just starts tumbling and going and going and going from my experience. But you know, at that first initial stage, they're still quite slow and a little bit timid. but then they really start to ramp up, and especially the minute those majors come along, I think the whole behaviour starts to change, and they become more of a formidable colony rather than just a standalone ant colony. You know what I mean? So, yeah, your kids are loving it. I bet they are. What nest system you go look at getting next? That's always a good one. I've got a few things in the works at the minute, we could say, in that area. Right, let's have a little looky look at making sure I'm not going past any of the comments without noticing. But I do warn you, it won't be a late stream tonight, mainly because I just need to get my head down and my eyes shut. Otherwise, I won't be functioning tomorrow. And I've got some important stuff to do tomorrow, meetings and things like that I've got going, which would be great fun if I'm not able to keep my eyes open. Excuse my cough again. I need to change the banner. I keep forgetting. In fact, for the first about 10 minutes of the stream, there was no banner and no music because I put it on and I completely forgot. I actually made a cup of tea. That's what I was doing. I put the kettle on just before I pressed go live. And then as it started to pre-feed in, I went and made a cup of tea. And then I forgot. Well done me. Well done me. Which actually makes me do, I've just remembered, the giveaway. Whilst everyone's here, I will just go over the giveaway that's currently happening again. If you bought a ticket to the Great Ant exhibition, you have been entered into a giveaway. All you got to do is buy your ticket to that Great Ant exhibition and you get entered into the giveaway. The draw is being held on the 31st of July, which falls in line with one of our streams. It's for a £25 voucher on the Ants on a Rock store. And back to the comments and conversation. Wakushi tube connectors as soon as he releases them, and then add another large nest and manage with the outworld for now. Yeah, that's fair. A good sized nest and colony that would be, you know. Those beetles don't seem to be having much luck tonight. They're trying to eat, but they're not having a great amount of luck. I'm being watched by my mantis again. Now, I do love Manny the mantis. He's absolutely brilliant. Not many pets I can handle as well in my house, you know, ants and tarantulas and stuff. You can handle tarantulas, but in my opinion, I'm probably just not going to. I'm not 100% confident or comfortable to do it. And for the potential risk to the spider, it's not worth it. You know what I mean? So I've taken the decision. I will handle the enclosure like I am doing literally just now. I've just picked it up now. I am just having a look at my tarantula in his enclosure, sat on his web, loving his life. But I won't be taking him out for any reason unless he needs a new enclosure or something, you know. But not for my own pleasure. Much like I do with the ants, I'd rather we just live quite a natural life. Feeding on things that I feed. Yeah, you know what I mean. Eventually, he'll be big enough to go into a much larger setup and it will be spectacular. And I'll be able to give him proper meals. Maybe he'll end up in the massive enclosure that I've planned for a very long time. See, my ultimate one at the moment would be to remove a wall from between two rooms and change it into a tank. Now, I would put like a slice of a tree in there so that you could have like that, an arboreal spider and things like arboreal ants. and then I'd have low down stuff, and yeah, it would be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool. Just watching the Polyrachus dives, it looks like they're about to have a nuptial flight, like right now. They're probably not, but the amount of wings which are just piling out of the nest, interesting. They do occasionally send out males, actually, and the males will fly. But I still haven't seen any female elates this year. Now, that's not to say that there isn't any. There could be a few within the nest, but we're just not seeing them. You got a fast arboreal as your first, so don't handle it or it might run away. Exactly that. You get a slow terrestrial if you want to. Exactly, Ant Rambling says. I've seen how it moves. Like, I'm not comfortable or confident with that. And excuse me. Yeah, I'd be more better to my words aren't working, are they? I would be more confident to handle a slow moving large spider, I think, large tarantula, because at the moment he's only about the size of a 10-piece piece, 10p piece. You know, it's not that big, and he's fast and he jumps. I took the foam out of the air hole at the top earlier just to get the waxworm out from the other day, and he moves so fast. It was like, whoa. Yeah, he nearly got out, but I'll get more better with it. You know, it will come with time, and as he webs up more, he'll be more chilled. I believe they build funnel type webs up in the trees, normally with good ventilation. So I've put 6 holes, 3 on either side, to give good cross ventilation, as well as the one at the top, because they used ventilation to keep toxins out of their funnel webs, from what I know. Really interesting spiders. I've done obviously a lot of research on them, as I always advise you do before getting any pet. But I thought they were really interesting when I was learning about them. One thing I haven't been able to find yet is how often I should expect them to molt. Now, I know this can really vary dependent on the spider, how fast you feed it, how warm it is, so on and so forth. But I couldn't even find like a generalized answer. So if you've got an answer for that, Ant Ramblings, that would be really helpful, actually. Like, I'm not too worried, but I would quite like to know that it's doing well and, like, you know, it's molting as it should, and so on and so forth. Whereas, I mean, if it's a female, it can live up to like 15 years. If it's a male, I'm expecting 2 to 3, is what I've read. But now we're talking about the mantis, they live like a year or something. Good evening, Ted. Thank you for joining. The mantis lived like a year or something, but he's already molted twice since I had him a couple of months. No idea. Sorry, only one of mine has in 5 weeks. Well, there we go. So I don't know. I shall. Ted, maybe you know, how often should I expect my spider to molt? Roughly, not have to be like exact, but roughly. I'm gonna pull the camera back quickly and see if I can pull the enclosure in front of the camera. I would set up the other camera, but like I say, I'm sat at half in the nude. I've got no top on anyways. I've got like the lower half, but this is a child-friendly show, so we're not going to do that. Right, here we go. Dun 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 dun. I tried going Jurassic Park, but I don't want to get sued, so I changed it a bit. Could you tell? There it is. And it started webbing up that little bit between the sticks there. You can see the webbing. And that's its enclosure now, so it goes. It's got a nice big log and that's my tarantula. Haha. That camera's on like a springy arm. Oh. That will do when it stops moving. Hold on, I don't want you getting seasick. There you go. Molting depends on species. Yeah, it is very cool, isn't it? Okay, like I said, I couldn't even find a generalized answer, so it's something I'm going to keep looking for. Now, here's something interesting. I can hear movement. Either one of the bullet ants is moving tinfoil. No, it's not that noise. Maybe. Oh, I just knocked everything flying. Maybe it's the roaches making noises. I don't know. That's a noise I haven't heard before. No, I don't think they are a very fast growing spider, to be honest. Obviously, if it's a male, it will grow, like, it will turn to maturity fairly fast because they don't live long at all. If it's female, it could take a while to get to maturity, I suppose. I'm not really sure. I'm not too worried. It's happy. It's got big enough enclosure for now. As it grows, I will increase the size of the enclosure. Simples. Yeah, no, I really like it. I would recommend, if you've got the nerve for it and you're into that sort of thing, do have a look at tarantulas. But like I always say, do your research if you've never had one before. I mean, I did a lot of research. I'm still doing my research now because there's still more things that I feel I'd like to know. Hilarious moment earlier, talking spiders with colleague who loves himself. He said he would love a Goliath bird eater. I grinned whilst I named them in Latin. You nearly made me swear then. That's quite amusing, actually. Yeah, I'm sure you could, actually. Did you then, like, tell him that you could do... hang on, he did a double take because didn't have a clue what I meant. Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. See, right, so that takes me back to a story. So I was out earlier doing my thing. You know what I do. I was out and there was a woman in her garden and we were chatting, and out in front of me runs a queen ant. So I instantly dropped to the floor like any ant keeper does. And bear in mind, the floor was completely concrete, huge concrete square. So I instantly dropped to the floor, got out my bank card, gently scooped up this queen ant onto my bank card and put it over towards the soil. And she was like, "What are you doing?" Like, "It's a queen ant. It's looking for a place to make a nest." And she said, "I'd rather it wasn't nesting in my garden." I said, "If you got one, you probably got 1,000 in there." You know what I mean? And putting one in the grass isn't going to make a difference. And then I explained to her what the flying ants were and nuptial flights and so on and so forth. And she actually got really interested in listening to it. And like, as you know, I can talk for England about ants. I'll talk and talk and talk, especially as someone that doesn't know anything. So, or doesn't know anything about ants. Sorry, I don't want to sound rude there. And yeah, she was actually a really lovely old lady, but she had never met anyone that had like been interested in ants before. I was like, oh yeah, there's loads of us. It's the new big thing. If you're not into ants, you're weirdo these days. Everyone's into ants. Ants are awesome. Inspired young sponges at work on a daily basis. Yeah. Guess even love. You want to like walk around with like a badge, like bug expert or something. Make yourself a bug expert badge and see how many people in the park come up to you. Yeah, I think that's a challenge for everyone. I know myself. I get asked quite regularly, "What's this? Can you help with this? I've got an ant problem. What do I do?" So on and so forth. Maybe just, let's say, we should all get bug expert badges and expert or whatever, and see how many people come up to us with their issues. See how many colonies we can get. Like, the amount of people which ask me to come and get a colony out of their garden or whatnot, I'm like, not really going to happen. Like, one, I'm not really into digging up colonies, and two, I strongly believe it's really hard to kill a colony out in the wild. Like, they dig so deep, and that they have ways around it. People pour boiling water down. Now, Lasius niger have been known to like dig down up to 10 feet. How much of that one kettle's worth of boiling water is reaching down 10 feet? That ain't going to kill the colony. It might kill several hundred ants, but it ain't going to kill the colony. Yeah, so I don't know. There is things out there, obviously, poisons and so on, but we don't want to discuss them on this channel. But I just don't believe that most things are effective to kill a colony in the wild. They're very resilient, especially when they're in their own natural environment. When we take them out into a more laboratory setting or whatever, then yeah, they could be a little bit more sensitive. But when they're in their own natural environment, I'm now on the welcome team, so I'm working my way through to suggesting nature spaces on site with gardeners and people to plant, be safe spaces and nurture natural spots on site. That would be very cool. Now, with the whole political situation in the UK at the moment, the Green Party is actually doing really well. Let's not joke ourselves. They're not going to get in, but they're actually doing really well. So in the future, green policies are going to be more welcomed, and not more welcomed because they're already quite welcome now. But you know what I mean? There's going to be more green policies and things in there. So maybe things like that aren't such a pipe dream. You know what I mean? Definitely worth a try. Go, Ricky, my old German teacher, Green Party for many years. Okay, right, so the local Green Party around here, I have no problem with telling you this, actually. I'm not even gonna. I'll use all nice words. So back when I used to work for the council, I wasn't really high up, but I had quite a position within the council, And there was a certain person who was an absolute nightmare to work with. She would try and reject everything, and she was pretty useless at her job. So on and so forth. Just absolutely rubbish. We didn't get on at all. Bear in mind, my job was to basically improve things for young people in the care system, no matter what it took. So yeah. And how do I go about this? So she was a nightmare. And then later on, like, I met her, I don't know, since working in the council. And obviously she's trying to like work her election thing, and she doesn't recognize me because I'm not wearing a suit. She's a completely different person. She asked me to do some work for her because she heard I had a good reputation for my organizational skills and so on and so forth. I have quite a reputation for going 100 miles an hour, but doing a job quite well. So she asked me to do some work for her. But I remembered her. We won't go into it much, but let's just say she regretted that. But yeah, so my local Green Party is fairly useless, in my opinion. Not the party, but the party members. And like I say, I've got no problem with saying that because they know who they are and they can't deny it. But to be honest, I have that strong opinion about many party members of pretty much every political faction. I don't like any of them. I think the country would do much better if you put me in charge, and that's what I'm going to stick with. But I'm also going to go with you can put pretty much anybody else in charge, and it will do better than any of the politicians. But that's just my opinion. And because we never really get political, I'm going to leave it there and not go into it any further. So just another quick reminder, we are still having that giveaway. If you've got your ticket already to the Great Ant exhibition, you are in that giveaway, which is being drawn on July the 31st. £25 voucher on the Ants on the Rock store. We've got some really cool ants at the moment. Loads that I can't pronounce the names of, but I've been able to spell them, so that's the main thing. I am going to get some good pictures out again soon because I'm going to, I generally look at them maybe once a month, not even that sometimes, but I don't like unwrapping them if I don't need to. So next time I am due to unwrap them, which is coming up, I will be taking some proper photos with my big old camera that has like super zoom macro lens and stuff like that. And I don't know, but the wife's been playing with it more than I have. She'll probably take the photos whilst I unwrap the ants. I don't know. We'll make it work. It'll be great. And we'll have some better photos, which will make a big difference on the website. And I can honestly say I'm excited every time a package gets wrapped up at the minute. Now we've got like the new boxes and the new style of packaging that we've gone with. It's exciting for me to pack it. Thanks for joining Ant Ramblings. You're always welcome here, buddy. Chat again soon. But yeah, always really excited to put the packages together, wrap them up, seal them up. It's a bit of love goes into them, and that's not me trying to advertise now. That's just me saying I actually really enjoy doing it. But I've taken a lot of pride in it, like because we used to send out just the normal brown padded envelopes, which is fine. There's no problem with that. But I really felt I wanted to put more effort, more love into it. So now I've got my inserts and care guides and all of this extra stuff that I'll chuck in. I think we're probably losing money on every sale these days, but I just love putting in so much stuff. You know what I mean? And yeah, I like the new packaging. I'm really fond of the way it looks, and yeah, it makes me happy. I'm looking at a box which has been made up at the moment, and that's why I'm talking about it, because it's put a smile on my face. If you haven't had one of our boxes yet, put an order in, you will get one, and you can experience the Ants on the Rock packaging as well as the ants and stuff. But the packaging, let's celebrate that. But we have got some cool ants on the site at a minute, but you know me, I don't ever try and advertise too much as a store. Let's have a little talk about the exhibition. I'm not going to do a massive update because there's no point, is there? I am going to do an update on it's July the 31st when we have that stream. So it will be July the 31st when I do a big update, and it will go on the website on the 1st of August, which is obviously coming up closer and closer to the date. Super excited. More and more tickets have gone out. Quite a few people coming along now. So yeah, it's going to be a good day. Like, there's some really good vendors that I'm going to be announcing coming as well. I don't want to go into it, obviously, before the big announcement days, but some really cool vendors coming along. And some really good exhibits as well. I'm excited to see the other exhibits. I'm excited to see it all. In fact, I'm excited for the whole event, but like I'm meeting my staff the day before and things like that. It's going to be a whole experience, you know. And in kind of news that I'm kind of announcing, but I'm not announcing, and it's all a massive secret, we are starting to work on the next events. So that's exciting as well. But that's all you get to hear about that. You don't get to hear dates or anything else, but there are further events coming. Oh, here's something. Now, in the last stream or the stream before, right, we talked about my vampire crabs and the fact that they were all browns, all the babies were all browns. They're not anymore. And they had a molt, and definitely two of them have red claws, and one of them has the orange headpiece as well that he gets from Mr. Krabs. So that's really super exciting. And I counted, I think, 8 baby crabs as well as Mr. Krabs and um, I can't remember her name, Tamatoa. So that's quite a few crabs now. I'm probably going to have to. I'll wait until they're a little bit older and I'll start to section them off into a spare tank. But then it seems that I might be breeding vampire crabs, which is cool. So that maybe in the future we'll have them on the store as well, which I never really imagined doing. But if I've got them to that extent, then I'm going to have to try and sell some. Good evening, Crazy Antics. Thank you for joining. I'll be honest, Crazy Antics, we're probably heading towards the end of the show in about 5-10 minutes time. I'm afraid I'm so tired at the moment. My brain switched off at like 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon, and I just haven't been able to like really flick that switch to get it started again. You know what I mean? I am trying. I am trying. Yeah, I'm afraid so. Crazy Antics. See now, I'm gonna. But what is anyone up to? Anyone feeding the ants at the moment? Let's have a little. What's everyone up to? Just making sure I've gone over all of my different subjects that I've got in um, my notebook. Finishing your final bit of marking before summer break. Hang on, are you a teacher? Like an actual proper teacher? Because that's pretty cool. All yours are fed and so chilling. Very cool. I fed most of mine yesterday, actually. I've got to do a big feed again tomorrow, but you've never had that reaction before. No, I think that's pretty cool to be a teacher. Um, it's an honor to pass on knowledge and experience to a younger generation. As much of a pain in the ass that they are, and excuse my bad language before the 10 o'clock watershed that I hold, um, you know what I mean? I as much as they are difficult and it's stressful and they might hate you for I love passing on knowledge to the younger generations, especially if it's something I'm passionate about. I can imagine it being a very difficult and stressful job, underpaid, overworked, and you don't get enough acknowledgement for the shit you're given, quite frankly. Excuse my bad language again. But it is an amazing job. There you go. Absolutely love your job. That's what we want to hear. It's a history teacher. Ooh, that's awesome. No, I love history. And if you're into history as well, you know what I mean? It's just, ah, that would be a great job. Fantastic. Especially if you can like captivate their imaginations and really get them into something. Having a bit of an issue with at the moment with Tetramori and Bakaru, getting them into Wakushi water towers. Right, okay. I don't know the Wakushi water tower setup, but yes, I can imagine that being an issue. The Ant Hut. Look up Ant Hut. ANTHUT. Ant Hut. Their water towers, spectacular for the smaller species. Completely different design. They go in underneath, and there's like a grate system. Honestly, no ants can get in. I've never had them leak. I've never had any issues with those types of towers. Highly, highly recommend anthut.com. In fact, I'm going to get you the link. Give me 2 seconds. Absolutely spectacular, amazing guy as well. Really kind. Loves what he does. We've had him on the channel before. If you want to look back and find his doodad, his interview, you're more than welcome. But I am finding this tower feeder for you. Definitely give it a look. Like I say, the new design that he uses is really, really helpful. I use them for lots of my smaller species, lots of them, and I've never had an issue. Now, I prefer these ones with my larger species, but my smaller ones, like Lasius and smaller, these are spectacular. Work every time. I'm sure there's others on the market that I can't think of, but you know what I mean. These are my go-tos. Yeah, Katrina. I mean, my history obsession almost matches my ant obsession. I love history. In fact, you might have noticed that in the last stream, I kind of went on like a history tour of Weymouth for you. But yeah, I know it was Portland. I can't remember, but I love history. A large holiday was who I impart my love for inverts on and fill their infinite sponges, children eager to venture away from technology. Yeah. See, I've started doing a lot of. I don't want to say I've started doing a lot of work, but I've started communicating with quite a few home educators, and exactly that. I just want to like give them my part of my knowledge, if you know what I mean. So they do lots of extracurricular sort of activity. They go out to places and learn actual stuff. They'll like it's like a field trip every day, you know what I mean? They're going to museums, they're going to historic events and or places and doing science and stuff like that. Really cool, like amazing stuff that some of these home educators are pulling off. Like really great experiences as well. So I've been talking to some of them about going in and doing stuff with home education because I can pass on a lot of knowledge that they might not have. I've never seen myself as a sort of teacher in any sort of way, but I love to pass on my knowledge to anyone that will listen, anyone at all. But then I did used to do. I used to run in training sessions for quite a few different professionals, including teachers. Actually, teachers were under my remit. So I would. There was a old shut down school out near Bovington. If anyone knows Bovington, is where they've got the large tank base in the UK. And there's an old shut down school, and we would go to the school, get in loads of teachers who would have to sit at the desks whilst I was stood there at like 20 something years old, teaching them how to act. It was brilliant, like so powerful. It was amazing. And I'll be like, right, who's going to make me a coffee? Oh, brilliant. Oh, yeah, the Tank Museum. Yeah, it's spectacular. That's literally up the road from me. Like, I don't know, half an hour's drive, less than an hour's drive, and you're at Bovey Tank Museum. Like, I cycled past it. In fact, if I do a loop from here all the way out past Bovington and come back via Dorchester, it's about 74 miles. But that's a massive round trip, you know what I mean? But yeah, they've also got Tyneham Village, which was during World War II. They went in and they cleared out the village because they needed to do battle practice there. And they told the residents they'd be able to move back at the end of the war. The MOD have never given that land back. And like it's like a ghost village. Everything's pretty much exactly how it was left on the day that they were told they'd have to leave. And it's really cool to walk around. So if you're in the area, look up Tyneham Village. Don't just do the Tank Museum. Do Tank Museum, Monkey World, because obviously Monkey World's amazing. They got monkeys from all over the place. That was a massive rescue centre. Really underfunded as well, but they've got quite a good thing going now. But yeah, Monkey World's awesome. Then you've got the artillery range just behind Bovey, and then you've got Tyneham Village, somewhere in the middle. But yeah, very cool. We used to go driving up to watch the tanks just for fun, like because it's that close. Because they still do their training pretty much out the back of the museum, don't they? And we'd just go sit in the car and just watch tanks for a few hours. Just me and a couple of mates, put a film on. Yeah, good fun. We were quite weird history buffs, to be fair, both me and my good mate. So we would sit there and chat about World War II, or quite often we chat about Rammstein, actually, because we were both really good Rammstein fans. Still am. Found a 9-year-old who is buying Bumblebee millipedes. Awesome. And I saved them some money on setup by suggesting cheaper and more natural option. We taught dance, yeah. And they tolerate and coexist with at home, so I suggested natural remedies to deter them from the house. Dad's already used silicone to fill outside holes. Yeah. So I'm like you, I just chat and chat and chat. I suppose that's how I can get away with doing this chat show, because I can normally find something to talk about for a while. Not always. And like I say, we'll probably be heading towards the end of the stream before too long. Just make sure that we've covered everything. I think we've covered pretty much everything tonight. Is there anything that anyone wants to talk to me or ask me about before we go? And obviously, we will be. You love this show because of it. Thank you, Katrina. I'm not always like this. Sometimes my brain just completely turns off and I've got nothing to talk about. But you amazing people keep my brain going to this point at least. Does that make sense? You give me the encouragement to talk, you know. I couldn't do it without you guys and girls, ladies and gents. I don't know. Oh dear, oh dear. But yeah, so we will be back on Sunday. I think we actually have an interview on Sunday, but I can't remember who it's with. And that list is currently upstairs on a different notepad because I filled in that whole notepad. How long did that take? Like 2 months or something? Didn't take long. Filled in that entire notepad. So we're on. You love my tangents. Yeah, I do go off a bit, don't I? I filled in that notepad, so I'm on a new notepad now, and the diary's on that notepad, and it's very difficult because I'm not going to carry about 2 notepads. That's like crazy. If I did that, I'd have to get my briefcase, and then I may as well go back to working for the council. I don't even have my briefcase anymore. I have no idea where I left that. She just put it down one day, never went back. We may not be here Wednesday. That's fine. It's Wednesday today, isn't it? So Sunday is the stream coming up, and then we'll be back here on Wednesday. What is the date? Let's have a little look at the calendar whilst we're here. So Sunday the 17th, we will be doing an interview, I believe. And then Wednesday the 20th, I cannot remember either. But it's all coming along. It's all cracking on. And then it is just not far away till the end of the month, and then not long at all until the exhibition. So like 5 weeks now? I can't remember. Not long. I know it's coming closer and closer because I'm getting more and more excited. There's a very disappointed spy out there, someone who picked up your empty briefcase. Yeah, I know. Like, either that or the bomb squad got called out for nothing. Like, it probably didn't go well. They always say don't leave your bags unattended. Well, I just never went back. That's the rebel in me. Yeah, it's going to be a brilliant day. I can't wait to meet everyone. We've got some really cool people coming along to the show, event, whatever you want to call it. Exhibition. Oh, God. Well, yeah, so my brain's actually switching off right now. I'm afraid I am going to have to go because otherwise I'll be asleep at the computer in a minute. You'll actually hear me snoring. Yeah, we're getting that way. So I'm going to love you all and leave you. I'm sorry for calling it an early night tonight, but the heat's just really getting to me. And I'm working like, the last few days I've been starting at like 5 in the morning, finishing at like 1, 2 in the morning. So I'm afraid it's just the way it is. I got to catch up at some point. So big love to everyone. Give me a shout if you need me. You know where I am on all the different platforms. We're on pretty much everything at the moment. And yeah, massive thank you to everyone for signing on, watching, commenting, being awesome as always. You're all absolute superstars. If you are coming to the exhibition, I can't wait to meet everyone, give you all a big hug or whatever. Let's buy you a hot dog. I don't know. Let's just come and say hi. Let's have a chat. Let's have a cup of tea, slice of cake. I don't know. It's going to be awesome. Thank you, Crazy Antics. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, Ted. Thank you, everyone else who's here. You're all absolutely spectacular. Honestly, I couldn't do it without you. I would be boring without you talking back to me. You make the job so much more enjoyable. Massive thank you to our sponsors. Answer Us sponsors this stream. I want to give a massive shout out because he is a spectacular guy. He also is sponsoring our event, and without him, again, that event wouldn't have been happening. So a massive thank you to Answer Us for that. And a massive thank you to my Patreon supporters, Katrina, Stacey, and Jason. You're all absolutely spectacular as well for supporting me in what I'm doing and helping me to improve things in the background with that support. Anyone else that wants to join supporting Patreon, you're more than welcome. Check it out on my Patreon. So as always from me, I'm going to love you and leave you. And I'll see you again soon, Ant fans. Good night. Thank you.